everyone. I'm Dr. Sarah Brill-Morgan, Naturopathic Doctor.
I am Laura Mierzwa, Nutritionist and Culinary Nutrition expert.
And we're here today to talk to you about reintroduction. So I did a Facebook Live a little while ago talking about food sensitivities and what that means for you. And we thought that it would be a really good idea kind of as a one-off from that to really kind of discuss the importance of reintroduction and reintroduction after a diet. So a lot of the times with patients, whether I'm putting them on a diet or Laura's really doing the work and kind of digging into a diet, it's for a shorter period of time. So usually anywhere from 30 days, 60 days, it's a shorter period of time. And a lot of the time, patients kind of stay on diets, which is not what we want. That's not the kind of idea behind it. It's really to kind of, change up the diet, change up how you're feeling, but then also change up the microbiome and do a lot of work with that. But then we need to do reintroduction.
Yeah, so sometimes what I see a lot, if I haven't seen the client from day one where they've started the diet, what happens is they've come to me after their 30 days or after a couple months, and there's a few things that can happen. So the first one is that they've been on the diet for so long, and they haven't started any reintroduction at all, and that can kind of be a problem because then you're not really getting as much nutrient variance in your diet too. So you're kind of restricting yourself of the different fibers and things like that you're getting from more of a varied diet. And then the other thing that I see probably more often is that people have just kind of gone on a free-for-all, and they come back and they're like, hey, I now feel worse now than I did in the beginning. And I say, okay, so let's look at what foods you've reintroduced so we can kind of get to the bottom. And they're like, well, I've had pizza, I had wings, I've had this. So when people have reintroduced all these foods at once, I can't go back and kind of help them pinpoint which foods are triggering their problems.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that tends to be the case for a lot of us. I know I've done really strict diets in the past, and I'm like, I need everything.
It's the excitement.
Give me the pizza, give me the beer, give me the, give me everything. So I think it's just really important to, if you're going to do the work, whether it's 2 weeks or a month or 3 months or however long you're kind of doing things for in terms of your practitioner, it's so important to actually do the reintroduction well and not actually kind of just go for it when you're done, because that actually can kind of mess you up more kind of long term. So the whole idea is that if you're not going to commit to the reintroduction, then it's probably not time to commit to the diet even.
Better to wait to start the diet for sure. So when we're looking at a reintroduction protocol, it can look really, really different for everyone. So it depends on what diet you've done. It depends on what kind of state you were in before the diet, how you're feeling after. But generally, what I do with most of my clients is we start slow. So it's literally one food for 3 days, and every day we usually increase that food a little bit. Now, it depends on what kind of diet you've done, but if it's FODMAP, we're looking at certain food groups. If it's just a regular gut makeover diet, then it could just be a food like brown rice or beans or something like that. But the less that you react to foods, the quicker the reintroduction can go.
Exactly. And I mean, we're doing the work within the diet to kind of decrease reactions as much as we can, but there's still going to be certain foods that you're going to react to more than others. So it's really important to figure out what those foods are so that you can actually take it out for a little longer to be able to do more healing and more work with that.
So we're going to talk about some of the major do's and don'ts of a reintroduction. So this is kind of your little rule book when starting. So the biggest do is you have to have a plan. So what I like to do is I actually have a whole chart for my clients. It goes day by day, which food you're reintroducing, which quantity, so there's no guesswork.
Yeah, and that's so important because you've done the work of the diet, you really want to know, okay, what am I reacting to? What am I not? Right?
Yeah, you don't want to waste that whole time. You put in the work.
Exactly. And the other one, I think we kind of touched on this already, but is don't just go all out. Don't just go to everything and add in 5 million things because you're just kind of throwing the diet out the window.
You are.
All of that hard work.
Yeah, that is it.
Yeah.
It's going to take a little bit of extra time, but I promise it is worth it. So another do, and this is really important because it's easy to get discouraged, but do expect there to be setbacks. So, if you go introduce dairy or gluten and your symptoms flare up again, it doesn't mean you failed the diet or you failed your reintroduction. It just means that we might have to go back, remove it for a longer period of time, and then start again.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with anything, progress isn't a straight line. I always talk this with my patients. Progress isn't a straight line. It's more of a spiral.
Yeah.
So you are going to have times where you're doing really well. I should do it up here. Doing really well, and then you're going to kind of come back, and then you're going to do really well again, right?
Yeah.
So just making sure that you know that it isn't a straight line. It's not going to be linear.
Yeah, there's going to be those ups and flows.
Yeah,
during that
for
time.
sure. And then I think that one of the biggest ones is don't be on a diet forever.
Yes. I don't want you on a diet long term like this.
Yeah, I have so many patients that literally come in like, a few months later and they're still doing the diet. I'm like, wait, what? Like, what happened? So that's not the goal, and that's not, I know in terms of my patients, know that I'm not doing diets long term. That's not the deal. I mean, there are like very, very minor, little tiny situations that maybe that's the case more long term, but for the most part, we don't want to do a diet long term.
No.
We want that variety of nutrients.
Yeah, so there's a variety of nutrients component that is really important, but also the social aspect. So if you're stuck on this diet for months and months and you're feeling like you can't go out, you can't enjoy yourself, but you're not even sure if you react to these foods with these symptoms anymore, and that's really affecting your quality of life. So that's another reason it's super important to make sure you do reintroduce and you don't stay on it for months after months.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's everything.
That covers it. Well, have a lovely day, guys, and we'll talk to you